to be sure. To be sure.
Thank you, John. So Switzerland, Brazil, now they're second and third on the grid, but there's still a lot of activity around Brazil, and the countdown, I think, is still continuing. This is a bit worrying for Brazil.
Yes, we've got Drytech Engineering. Some of their engineers are looking into the. Well, I think they've got it sorted out. It's just it looked panic, and Nelson Piquet Jr. sitting in the car. He looks fairly composed, not too concerned. As we look at Johnny Reid and Team New Zealand, the other nation that didn't leave the grid at the first final parade lap, so he's got it sorted out as well.
1 minute signal has been given, and it's time for everyone to get off the grid again and for the engines to be fired up, so they need to get this grid clear. But is everybody ready? It's a real panic down there for everybody to sort themselves out. There are still cars up on jacks. They're still got to get engines fired up. I think it's come very quickly. They were told the 3 minute signal was obviously given. I'm not sure that all the teams were ready. There's a little bit of activity. Now everybody trying to move away, and they've got to try and get clear of the cars with 30 seconds. They don't want to still be fiddling with the car, and there's still mechanics on the grid. That could lead to penalties if there are mechanics on the grid with a 30-second signal, and there are still one or two around, as you can see.
Team Italy is the problem this time.
Yep, the Italians trying to get their car fired up. Oh, this is bad news indeed for the Italians, and they're just trying to get him fired up, and he's going to have to wait and see what happens here.
Again, engineers on them. They've got to get off to the left to the concrete barrier to allow the entire field to make its way, and it's still Team Italy is unable to get that engine fired. So Enrico Toccacello and also Jos Verstappen for the Netherlands team. Two cars were stranded on the grid, this time at the back of the grid, so not quite so much problem of teams. So what the problem is that has caused cars suddenly to stall or not be able to get off the grid, that's something that no doubt will be looked into very closely, very quickly.
Yes, of course, these cars have all done a race already, and the heat build-up, the heat sink that you get, maybe just making little effects, although for Team Netherlands, it didn't really do any laps. It only struggled around one lap and then came into the pits at the end of the sprint race, or the beginning of the sprint race, as a result of an accident. So you wouldn't have thought that there would have been that kind of heat-related problem, but whatever it is, hasn't been able to get off the line, nor has Italy.
No, Italy's been pushed in at the end of the pit lane, and the Netherlands pushed into one of the breaks in the pit wall, so those two cars back into the pit lane, and whatever the problems are, it could also be just simply heat soak, because the cars are sitting here in the grid, and with those engine covers on and the engines running, there's very quickly a lot of heat build up under the engine cover, and it could be just something quite as simple as maybe fuel vaporization.
Now then, the front runners have got to put this out of their minds and just concentrate on getting away cleanly at the start of this race. And it's Nicolas Lapierre for France, Miliani for Switzerland, who lead them round. We're on board here with Timo Scheider of Germany, and he finished fifth in that first race. I wonder whether he can attack and really put the pressure on this time. New Zealand, of course, he was the car he was racing with most of the time. Now Verstappen gets going, does he? Yes. And he's in the pit lane, so he will have to start from pit lane exit. He's allowed to do that. Of course, he has to wait for the other cars to come past the pit lane exit.
Yeah, and he's going to be sitting there for quite a long time with his engine running. Again, that's another reason for heat soak, the heat build up from the exhaust. The engine cover, of course, fits very neatly around the whole engine assembly and installation. So he's going to be sitting there. The cars are still, they haven't even, they're coming into turn 12, so they're virtually completing a lap. Nevertheless, every second you're sitting at the end of the pit lane waiting for the team to form on the grid will seem like a minute.
Yeah, it's going to be agony for Jos Verstappen, but it doesn't really make a huge difference to him. He was due to start at the back of the field anyway. It does make more of a difference for the Italian, for Enrico Toccacello, but then he had been pushed back as a result of a penalty in the sprint race.
Yes, and he's in fact still all the way down at the very beginning of the pit lane. The team Italy engineers have not been able to get his car to start up, whereas on the other hand, Jos Verstappen, there they are. Jos Verstappen is sitting at the end of the pit lane waiting for the field to file past. Now, starting in the pit lane is not always the worst place to start, particularly if you've had to start at the back of the grid anyway. So he will, if there is another incident in turn one, will hopefully see it all before he actually gets onto the racetrack.
Right, everybody else now coming back onto the grid, and let's hope that we get a clean start. Max Velti, team boss for Switzerland, watching nervously. Will his man get into the first corner ahead ahead of France. France are on the outside. That is pole position for a standing start here. It is a staggered grid, so he has an advantage in terms of positioning, but already he's got the car angled slightly down towards the inside because he'll want to take the line into the first corner. Will we see a repeat of the accident between Great Britain and the USA in the sprint race? Those two cars are now lining up at the rear of the field without the Dutch car there. The Italian car, they're hoping to get going, but it's still not looking good for them. They're going to try and push start it maybe. We're all set to go then for the feature race at the Euro Speedway. France looking to take 2 out of 2 wins. It's a very quick change and away we go, and everybody up front gets away. Good start for Switzerland. Switzerland leads. France defending from Malaysia. Malaysia on the inside trying to take second from Brazil. Malaysia goes second. What a great start from Alex Young. He's in a second, and France and Brazil are side by side here.
Well, what a start from Alex Young in Malaysia. He sneaked and he just bullied his way into second place. Nelson Piquet Jr. had to back off. France, a terrible start, but consolidate back in third. Then we see Thomas Scheckter in the Team South Africa car goes agricultural to retain his position.
South African car got a squeeze from Canada. Sean McIntosh putting a squeeze on Thomas Scheckter as they all jostle for position up the backstretch. New Zealand didn't make a good start and is now dicing with the Czech Republic. There's the black car of New Zealand. Czech Republic right behind, and the Japanese car there too.
Well, this is the midfield battle, and look at them, just 2 abreast in a corner that really is a one-line corner only.
There's the race leader, though. It's Switzerland. And look at Malaysia coming under some pressure now from France. Lapierre didn't make a good start, but he's now attacking for second.
Yes, and he's going to have a look down the inside as he comes out of 9, trying to get off the corner quicker than we're going to look from Alex Young. There's the rearward view. Now you're going to look, dive frontside. Comes back. Can he get down the inside without locking it all up? Malaysia has no answer. They have to stay there. Takes the position away. And already Nicolas Lapierre is trying to make up ground for that rather poor start.
He's into second. France into second, but it's Switzerland that leads. France in second. Malaysia in third place. Brazil in fourth. Germany in fifth. New Zealand in sixth place. And the Czech Republic in seventh.
And Japan in eighth. Great start from both Japan and from the Czech Republic. So look at the field. You can see Team GBR already making its way up through the field.
Yeah, we'll try and we'll spot them as they come over the line this time. Switzerland is taking advantage of a great start, but now France into second will go chasing after them. The rest of them come flying over the line, and there's another attack for South Africa and Mexico going into turn 1 side by side. They managed to sort themselves out. South Africa 10th, Mexico 11th, Indonesia 12th, ahead of Ireland, Portugal, Australia. Great Britain is running in 16th place and definitely made the best at the start, with the USA down in 18th position.
Well, young Mexican David Martinez trying to put a move on Thomas Scheckter of South Africa into turn 1. Thomas Scheckter said, no way. There's the start. A great start from Alex Young in the yellow car on the extreme right of the screen. Squeezes Johnny Reid in Team New Zealand. Passes Nicolas Lapierre down in. Watch Piquet. How he takes avoid it. He has to go sharp right hand down to avoid a collision. Sensible Nelson Piquet to do so.
Yeah, good move from Piquet that, because he might have had the line, but it would have gone wrong if he had tried to cut in.
But look how much he moved to the right to get around Nicolas Lapierre, who had a poor start. Then the yellow car from Malaysia just dives down the inside, takes the ground, and Nelson Piquet has to go sharp right.
Well, it was a dramatic start, wasn't it? This is another view of it, and New Zealand didn't make a particularly good getaway, and then it all was happening, and then Malaysia coming through on the inside. Watch for that.
There he goes. Piquet had to go sharp right to avoid that collision.
Now, Australia and India are racing together here. They're racing for 15th position. I think Great Britain, USA is just in behind them, and I think Great Britain has got ahead of this little bunch so far. So, Robbie, they're coming to the pits early. Early pit stops, very early pit stops from some of the top teams being made here. And that's why they were heading down on that turn 12.
And very wise, too. They're going to get in, get the pit stop over. You see Ireland on one hand, Team Great Britain behind, Team Netherlands as well, Mexico. We've got 6 cars in the pit lane making a pit stop literally on the second lap.
They're all on the speed limiter. Agonisingly slow it looks as they come into the pits, and it's a battle in the pit lane. Now the mechanics have to run out from the garage. They're not allowed to be out waiting for the car. They rush out from the garage, 1 mechanic per wheel, and then it's the changeover. Now look how close France has got to the back of Switzerland. This is the race for the lead, and there's absolutely nothing to choose between Neil Yarni of Switzerland and Nicolas Lapierre of France.
Well, there is a difference, because France clearly is the quicker of the 2 cars here, but of course Neil Yarni and Team Switzerland controlling this race. We are now with 33 laps to go, running down into turn 9. Have a look down the inside from France. No, not close enough. He got that pass on Alex Young for Team Malaysia into turn 10. It'll be a lot more difficult to do the same thing with Neil Yarney and Team